You know, we're about to go on an archaeological dig, but we won't be using picks and shovels. Nope, we're going to use linguistics to uncover a secret fossil, one that's hidden inside a single Japanese word, a fossil that tells an incredible story of ancient migration from Korea. And that's a pretty mind-blowing idea, right? That the everyday words we use are like linguistic DNA, carrying the stories of our ancestors. Today, we are going to follow that DNA trail right from Korea to Japan and see how the Korean words for cave and to hide are perfectly fossilized in a common Japanese word. All right, so here's our target. The word is kura. If you go to Japan, it means warehouse. Simple enough. But its origins, they tell a much, much deeper story about ancient migrants, sacred caves, and the very human need to protect what's precious. So let's start the investigation. Our first stop takes us way back in time, long before Kora meant to building, to a time when storage was something the earth itself provided. Okay, so picture this. You're in Japan, and you see one of those beautiful traditional storehouses. You know, the ones with the thick white plaster walls. That's a kura. It's a symbol of wealth, of preservation. But that's just the modern meaning. The original meaning, well, that's our first piece of evidence. And here's the first big twist. Before people were building warehouses, they used what nature gave them. And the oldest uses of the word kura don't point to architecture. They point to geology. The very first kura was a secure cave or protective cliff face. And this idea isn't just lost to history. It's preserved in the word iwakura. It's a combination of iwa, which means rock, and our word, kura. It refers to a sacred, natural place where divine spirits were thought to live. This really confirms that the original idea of kura was something powerful, natural, and hidden away.
Okay, so this leads to a pretty critical question. If kura once meant cave, could its linguistic ancestor be a word for, well, cave in a language nearby? This question points our investigation toward a prime suspect.
And that question leads us right across the sea to the Korean peninsula. This is where we find a word that sounds suspiciously familiar and a linguistic rule that just might connect everything together. So let's put them side by side. On the left, we've got the Korean word gul, which literally means cave. And on the right, our word in question, kura. The theory here is that the whole concept of a natural storage place, a gul, was brought to Japan and evolved into the word for a man-made one, a kura. But how did the sound change so much? Well, this actually happens because of a super common pattern in how languages evolve. When words cross over from Korean to Japanese, a softer G sound often gets strengthened into a harder K sound. So gul becomes kura. The concept of a natural cave linguistically transforms into the word for a man-made storehouse. It's pretty cool. But hold on, the connection doesn't stop with caves. There's another layer to this mystery. You see, it's not just about a place, it's about an action. I mean, just think about it for a second. What is the whole point of a warehouse, or a cave for that matter? It's to store things, to protect them, to hide something valuable. And this brings in our second Korean root word, gamchuda, which means to hide. The core idea of concealing something precious is baked right into the word itself. And once you see this connection to hiding or covering, you start seeing it everywhere in Japanese words that share that kura sound. For example, kurai means dark, a state where light is hidden. Okura can also be a saddle, which, you guessed it, covers a horse's back. They all share this fundamental image of concealment. So we've got this solid theory connecting caves in the act of hiding, but can we find any hard evidence? Actual fingerprints of this history on the map of Japan itself? Let's take a look. Let's look at two really famous places. First up, Kamakura. It's usually interpreted as something like furnace-shaped warehouse. Kind of weird. But if we apply our theory, Kama means furnace or kiln, and Kura means cave or sacred valley. All of a sudden, Kamakura becomes a base for advanced iron smelting technology in a sacred valley. Whoa. Now, let's look at kurashiki. That's kura plus shiki, which is related to the Korean word for to pile up. So it wasn't just a town with warehouses, it was a planned city specifically built for piling up tax rice. You see what's happening? This linguistic key unlocks a completely hidden history. These place names aren't just descriptive words, they are historical markers, pointing directly to hubs of technology and economic power that were established by the ancient migrants who brought these words with them. All right, let's bring all this evidence together and deliver the final verdict on the secret history of the word kura. Now, of course, naming places after warehouses isn't some totally unique idea. Both Korea and Japan have places named for granaries and storehouses. That's a universal sign of economic activity. It just makes sense. But the story of Kura is different. It's really special. It's so much more than just a name for a building. It's a fossil. It literally captures that specific moment of transmission. That moment when the idea of a natural cave, a goal, traveled across the water and became the blueprint for a man-made Kura. And this is the beautiful human story at the very center of it all. In this one single word, Kura, you can feel the effort of ancient people seeking shelter in caves, and that universal instinct to hide and protect what is valuable. It's all preserved right there. So it makes you think, doesn't it? The next time you use a simple everyday word, maybe just pause for a second. What ancient journey, what forgotten idea, what human story might be fossilized inside it, just waiting for you to discover?